Welcome inside the RX Muscle Studios in Westbury, New York for another episode of Ask Dave, better known as hashtag Ask Dave, brought to you by, as always, by Species Nutrition. Visit speciesnutrition.com. Get 25% off 44-serve Isolized in any flavor, cinnamon donut, cookies and cream, chocolate milk. Go now to speciesnutrition.com. 30-minute question and answers with Dave Palumbo right here on rxmuscle.com. Reminder, later this evening, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, a special episode of Iron Debate as we welcome in Dennis James into the forum. And with that, we bring on Dave Palumbo. Dave, a double dip here on rxmuscle.com. Heavy travel plans for you this week.
Yeah, we gotta get our money's worth out of today's programming because I'll be gone tomorrow. I'll be on a 24-hour flight to Australia. You know, I thought I got out of going to Australia, although I love going there. I thought I got out of the flight this year because I didn't go to the Arnold Australia like I normally do. But by popular demand, the How to Become a Diet Guru course will be being held this Saturday in Sydney, Australia. I think we have one spot left. If anyone wants to sign up, you can contact Chris Schmidt on Facebook. But I will be teaching my 10-hour class, How to Become a Diet Guru, everything you need to know about diets and how to write them, nutrition, supplementation, performance-enhancing substances, and it should be a great one. We held one here in New York a few weeks ago. It was super popular, and I know we're going to have a big group over there in Sydney. I'm looking forward to getting out there and doing my thing. But we have a lot of work to do today. We have Ask Dave, and then we have later Iron Debate with Dennis James, and that's going to be a good one. I know Chris will love to be debating DJ, and we can find out what he's been up to as well.
So you know the name of the game, 30 minutes question and answers. You can join us on the Muscle Central Forum on rxmuscle.com. If you're not already a member, it is free to register. You can tweet using hashtag AskDave. Join us on our official Instagram page, official_RxMuscle, or on our Facebook page. We start on the Muscle Central Forum on rxmuscle.com and check in with Gorilla. Hey, Dave, I would rather listen to George Farah's old police war stories than your crappy show. What are your thoughts on diet sodas during a contest prep? Also, does carb timing matter? Can I eat my carbs before I go to bed, or should I avoid that?
Diet soda, I always found to have no problem with it. Some people drink it excessively, and that could be an issue. Now, some of the Crystal Light mixes and some of the other, supposedly calorie-free drink mixes can be a problem because a lot of times people will super concentrate those, and they do have a little bit of carbs if you concentrate them above what the recommended serving size is. So I always tell people if you're going to drink those drinks, dilute them more, make them even more dilute. But I haven't found any problems in terms of people not losing weight using diet drinks. Having said that, a lot of times, those diet drinks will make you actually hungrier, and people will cheat because of that, because sometimes they trick the body into releasing insulin. And when the body releases insulin, you put yourself your blood sugar goes down, you get hungry, plus it puts you into a fat burning, or I should say fat storage state, and we don't want that. But, by and far, if you can just have a couple Diet Cokes a day and that helps you get through the day, so be it.
We stick with the Muscle Central Forum on rxmuscle.com and go to Big Mike Cox. Dave, I hate this show so much. I'd rather sit and listen to India Paulino and Ashley Kaltwasser discuss U.S.-Russian relations for 2 hours. Very nice. Reminder, the best I hate this show wins a Species Nitrolize pre-workout. The best overall question of the show wins Nitrolize as well as this Species Nutrition bag. We go to the question, how far out from a show would you stop all injectables?
I usually tell people not to stop them at all and go right up to the day of the show. The only thing I usually have my clients stop would be testosterone injections, usually about 3 or 4 days before the show. But other than that, it goes back to what I've said before. If you look great a week out, why change anything? Don't change anything. Just make the final tweaks, carbing up a little bit, take out the water a little bit, maybe a mild diuretic, and you're good to go. You don't have to play magic tricks when you're in shape.
I thought you were going to do in the why cut back voice there.
Why cut back?
Or why stop anything? Dave, we go to Juice232. Dave, I hate your show. more than when Officer Farah incessantly accused me of being gay when I was talking about his clients with him. Hashtag Guru Wars. I've read so much conflicting research and opinions on Finasteride with 19 NORs. Can you take Finasteride while on tren or nandrolone, or will it make you bald faster?
I don't know where that came from. Finasteride is a 5-alpha reductase inhibitor. What that means is that it blocks the enzyme 5-alpha reductase, which converts testosterone into dihydrotestosterone, or DHT. DHT is the culprit in male pattern baldness. If you the higher levels of DHT combine with a genetic predisposition to lose hair, and you'll lose hair. So a lot of guys will take Finasteride. I always used it for like the last 10 years of my career to limit hair loss. It worked to some degree. I found that it kind of stopped the hair loss. It didn't really grow back what I had lost, but it stopped it. Taking it with a 19-nor testosterone compound that really does not convert to DHT is not going to make your hair loss worse. It just might not do anything. In other words, you're still going to have your own testosterone production converting somewhat to DHT. So it's always nice to have that Finasteride on board to block any potential testosterone into DHT. But 19-nor testosterone in derived products like Deca and Tren don't really cause hair loss to begin with. I know people think it does. They don't really cause hair loss. So it's not a bad thing to take it. It just might not do much of anything. That's all.
Let's go to Rock 240. Dave, I'm wanting to get into personal training, and my gym has you pay $100 per client that you get. Is this pretty much the standard in the personal training industry? And what would be the minimum to charge clients per session, in your opinion?
Well, I'm assuming they charge $100 per month, per client. I'm assuming that would make sense to me. The problem with that, it's not really a good system, because what if you train like one guy like only a couple times a month, and then another guy you train like 50 times a month? It's a wacky system. You either charge straight rent to the person or charge them a fee per person. Some gyms charge, I think Steve Weinberger charges like $10 a person per client. So if you train someone, you get $50 from training them for a session. You give the gym $10. I mean, that's fair. So that seems like a more fair thing. I never heard of this $100 per person. It's kind of a weird way to figure out, because it doesn't really take into account how many times you're training that person.
Let's take two more from the Muscle Central forum on rxmuscle.com. Again, it is free to register if you're not already a member. Let's go to Boss Barbell. Dave, this show is worse than Kai Green and George Farah picking out Kai's guest posing attire. How long is it safe to go to keto? What is the best way to do keto on a budget? And can you still train with crazy intensity while on keto? And in parentheses, for people who are dieting for health, not pre-contest.
Well, in a ketogenic diet, which means that you're basically eating no carbs or low carbs, so that your brain switches its metabolism from burning glucose, carbohydrates, into fats, ketones. Once that's induced, you'll have plenty of energy. Your endurance may be a little limited in the gym, meaning that you might not be able to train for 2 hours because you're not eating a lot of carbs, but you still should be strong. I know a lot of powerlifters. Ryan Kennelly broke the world bench press record over 1,000 pounds, eating no carbs. So you could certainly lift heavy. You just can't lift for a long period of time, which you shouldn't be doing anyway in the gym. So in that sense, it's safe. How long can you stand it? I know people that live on a ketogenic diet all the time. I don't know how they do it, but they do it year round. Once again, if you follow my, ketogenic, philosophy, and you have a cheat meal once a week, that will keep your metabolism going. It'll keep your thyroid hormone high and in optimal range. And so you can really stay on it as long as you want. There's really no health detriment, I should say, to staying on a ketogenic diet. It's just a matter of what you want to achieve. I always put people on it till they get in the shape they want, especially people who are regular people who don't want to compete. And when they get to the point where they want to, look, or how they want to look, then I add some carbohydrates back into the mix. There's no reason to stay on a ketogenic diet all the time. Once you reach your goals, then you can kind of play around with, carbohydrate intake up and down depending on how you look.
Let's go to Gigantor. This show is so bad, I'd rather eat 100% carbs and no protein to compete. Dave, what advice would you give an aspiring beginner bodybuilder whose goal is to turn pro?
Number one, most important, be patient. And I know that's the worst thing to say to a bodybuilder. No one's patient. Everyone wants it yesterday, But bodybuilding it's true. It's a long-term project. You should set short goals for yourself. Your goal the second you get into the gym shouldn't be, I want to turn pro. Your first goal should be like, you know what? I want to add 10 pounds of muscle. Then your next goal should be, I want to maybe get on a bodybuilding stage and diet down. I want to see how I look. Then I want to assess what I need to improve. And then the next goal is making those improvements. Then the next goal is the following year getting on stage again and doing better than you did before. When I first started competing, I did a couple regional shows. And then I said, I want to do a national qualifier. And then I qualified for nationals. And then I said, the following year I'm going to do Junior USA. And I want to place top 5 there. I took 3rd. The following year I did Junior Nationals. I wanted to win my class. I won my class. Then I did the USA that same year. I didn't. I think I was 6th or 7th. The following year I said I want to make top 5. And then I was 4th at the Nationals in 96. So I worked my way up to my goals. And then they were reasonable. You have to set reasonable goals, because when you set crazy goals, even though you might have long-term goals, your short-term goals should be reasonable and achievable. If they're not, you're going to fail and you're going to get frustrated and you're not going to succeed. So what's the best advice I can give to a person starting who wants to be a pro? Set short-term goals with the passion in your heart that you want to be a pro one day, but that you're not going to put a time limit on it, because the universe, and I've said this before, will deliver on its time frame, not yours.
You're watching Ask Dave on rxmuscle.com, brought to you by Species Nutrition. Visit speciesnutrition.com. 44-serve isolized this month only, 25% off on speciesnutrition.com. We now go to our Instagram page. Again, if you're not already following us on Instagram, official_RxMuscle. Let's go to a good friend of the show, for Robbie_K. This show is worse than Donald Trump's hair. Very nice. Dave, does sex and masturbation affect a cycle?
No. It's that simple. It doesn't. I mean, people ask, if I masturbate a lot, am I my testosterone level going to drop? No, you don't. When you ejaculate, you don't lose testosterone out of there. So, no, it won't. Matter of fact, I know that a lot of boxers, Muhammad Ali was probably the most notable, said that he wouldn't have sex 6 weeks before a fight. I think that was to get him more angry and mad. I don't think it had anything to do with testosterone levels, to be honest with you. He wanted to be frustrated, and so that he would be more aggressive in the ring. And that was the philosophy behind it. But yeah, for a bodybuilder, it doesn't matter.
Let's go to Grant Amo. Dave, your show is so bad, I would rather have a bath with Bin Laden than watch it again. That is harsh. Yeah. What are your thoughts on seasoning and sauces when dieting? Do you cut them out altogether?
I'm very wary of seasonings, especially these Walden Farm calorie-free ones. I don't trust them. What I recommend that people use, and that I always used when I would compete, was I was a big soy sauce user because I really like salt, and I can encourage the athletes to eat and consume a lot of salt during the diet. We don't really eliminate, at least my athletes, I don't eliminate soda until the very end, the last day or so. So I used a lot of soy sauces, especially only the sugar-free ones like Kikkoman. I used a lot of spices. Adobo is good, and Mrs. Dash, a lot of people like to use. That's what I used. I don't like a lot of gooky stuff. Mustards, yellow, golden or brown mustards that have nothing, no sugars added to them are okay. So you got to just read the ingredient panel. You don't want to take in anything with extra carbohydrates or sugars in them. That's usually where you get into trouble with too many extra calories and you wind up not losing weight. I just want to say one more thing. A lot of people ask me about sugar-free ketchup. There's no such thing as sugar-free ketchup because ketchup, by definition, is a carbohydrate. So you can't have sugar-free ketchup. A little splash of a hot sauce is pretty good. That doesn't really have many carbs.
Let's go to Mr. C. Shadows. Dave, this show sucks so much. I'd rather be a contracted athlete with muscular development. Oh, wait, there are no more athletes. Hashtag why cut back. Very nice. That is a candidate right there. Dave, can you get into details about what happened between you and Victor and that whole dilemma?
I kind of rehashed it already a few times, and I told it. It wasn't really – what happened was I was doing an interview with Ronnie Coleman at the Natural Vitamins Monster event. And Victor walked into the interview, And he saw I had my microphone with my RX Muscle, logo on it, and he started talking to me. And so I started talking to him, and I kind of was like trying to walk away from him because I figured he was under contract. But when he kept, talking to me, I figured, well, maybe he's not under contract. Maybe 2 days later, his, quote, new trainer contacted me, a guy I know for many years, Tony Aponte, and told me, I'm working with Victor now. And I got, exclusive, progress pictures. I want you to see him, and you can post them up. And I said, okay. He sent me the pictures. Now I'm thinking, I said, well, Tony, is Victor under contract with MD anymore? He's like, no, he's not under contract. I said, great. So we put the pictures up. I put the video up because I figured nothing's wrong. And I guess, Blackman kind of had a shit fit, because he that's what he does. He watches everything that we do. And so when I saw Victor in Brazil, he was upset about it because probably Blackman was yelling and whining to him, why you let them put the video up? And so I think what Victor did was purposely let me do it so that he could get Blackman all in a tizzy, and then Blackman would want to keep him, So if it worked, and I think Victor's still under contract from what I understand, then congratulations to Victor for keeping that contract. Victor and I are friends. I would never do anything to jeopardize his contract purposely. So whatever I did was thinking that Victor was not with MD. If I had known he was with MD, as much as I like to break Blackman's balls, I would never have jeopardized his contract. So having said that, once again, Victor and I are close. We've known each other for 20 years, and I didn't realize that he wasn't on the contract. So there's no bad blood. Victor and I talk on the phone all the time. We're fine.
We'll take one more from the Instagram page. Again, if you're not already following us, it is at official_RX Muscles. You get a look there at Dave interviewing Ronnie Coleman and Victor Martinez to your right at the Natural Vitamins Monster event. Dave, we go to Matt Fritzler, 95. Hey, Dave, I hate this show so much. I would rather be bitten by every single reptile you own while being in the crossfire of guru wars like Fred Biggie Smalls was. Where do you see the 212 division going? We hear about the future of physique and men's bodybuilding, but I would like to hear from you, your take on the ever so competitive 212 division.
Sometimes I think that the 212 division is more competitive than the open division at this point. I think it's got a good future. I think there's a lot of guys that are not monstrously big. And I think that we might be moving forward, since men's physique has been glomming up so many of the great, genetic freaks that are out there. I think we might see the 212 division become more and more popular because it's a more attainable look. Having said that, I would like to see the 212 division on stage, as an equal to the men's open at the Olympia. Right now they still call it the 212 Showdown. I'd like it to be called the Mr. Olympia 212. I think that really would validate these guys and what they're doing. And that's where I'd like to see it go. Where bodybuilding in general goes is anyone's guess in the next 5 years. No one sees it now, but I think that bodybuilding's in big trouble because all the new talent, if 90% of your talent pool that comes from the lower ranks is being diverted to men's physique, which is what I believe it is, and only 10% is going to bodybuilding, it's got to hurt the bodybuilding division at some point. Now, we may not see it for 10, 15 years because the guys today are still good enough to probably compete another 10 years, a lot of them, especially the upcoming guys. But at some point, we're going to see a decline in the depth of the pro division. You're not going to have as many great guys. You'll have a couple superstars, and the division is going to be watered down. You're not going to be able to support all the pro shows out there. Once again, only time will tell. I hope I'm wrong.
Let's go now to our livestream.com live chat box for those of you watching directly on livestream.com. And we check in with Peter Gazda. Dave, I hate this show so much. I would rather watch Big Ramy training his calves to bring to his quads. Oh, okay. I thought there was a punchline there. Question is, what do you think about HIIT cardio for fat loss in a low-carb diet or keto?
High-intensity cardio?
High-intensity, yes.
Okay. I don't believe in high-intensity cardio for fat loss, period. And I'll tell you why. Does it work? Does it raise your metabolism? Does it burn calories? Absolutely. And I've probably gone on over this topic a million times already, but I'll go over it again. When you're doing high-intensity cardio, which means your heart rate is high, it's over probably 135, 140 beats a minute, you're metabolic machinery is cranking. The problem is that it's cranking so fast that your body needs to use carbohydrates as a fuel source. Okay? When your body is not moving at such a high intensity, your body will use body fat, stored body fat as a fuel source. Okay? If you're trying to, maximize body fat loss, okay, and not worry about whether your heart's in good shape or not, the best cardio to do is lower intensity, because all the fuel you're using is stored body fat. So the high-intensity cardio will boost metabolism overall, but it's not using fat as a fuel source. So some of the fuel it's using is going to be carbs to fuel the process. Then the after effect might be that you're going to burn a little more fat. I would rather do lower-intensity cardio for a longer duration, ensure that all the fat and all the energy you're deriving is from fat. And I think that's a much better way to go, whether you're using a ketogenic diet or you're using a non-ketogenic diet. Now, if you're going to eat carbohydrates or increase your carbohydrate intake so that you can do cardio, that's also pretty silly too, because now you're eating carbs to burn carbs. It's like you're getting nowhere. You want to burn stored body fat, do lower intensity cardio, longer duration.
Let's stick with the live chat box on livestream.com and go to Joe Cristiano. Dave, I hate this show worse than the Rochester Police Department hates former police chief George Farah. These are never going to get old, are they? No. Love the Species line. Any new products coming out in the next few coming months?
Well, we have one that I'm pretty proud of. I know a lot of people have been asking me about an amino acid formula, and I kept putting it off because I won't come out with something unless it's unique. I try to do things that are different, and I don't like to copy what other people do. So Amino Lies, which is going to hopefully be out right before the Olympia, we'll be sampling it there if all goes well, is a very unique product. Number one, all the amino acids are made from fermented amino acids, meaning they're made from bacteria rather than collected from, human hair that in China, which is where most of the amino acids come from. That's number one. Number two, it's going to be a very, very good tasting product. Now, if any of you have ever tasted amino acids without flavoring, they taste like battery acid. They're horrendous. And I've tried so many different flavoring systems from different companies, and most of them taste terrible. And you guys know that you use the amino acids. There's not many good tasting formulas out there. We got one that's so good. We have blueberry or blue raspberry ice that is such a good tasting flavor. I can't even believe there's amino acids in there. It tastes so good. So I'm excited to get that out. That's going to be our next product. I'm working on a couple other interesting products, some fiber bar and a couple of other things I don't even want to talk about. But by and far, Amino Lice will definitely be the next formula out.
We now go to our Facebook page. It is facebook.com/rxmuscle.com, spelled out all in one word. And we check in with our good friend Peter Caldell. I'd rather believe that my leg sweep won't be diminished than listen to one more word on this show. Dave, failure training versus volume. Would it be prudent to use both in order to hit different muscle fiber types?
Let's break down fiber types, muscle fiber types. There's really two types, even though we know there's intermediate types. The two types are fast twitch and slow twitch. Fast twitch muscles, when you break them down, build up to be bigger and stronger. Okay? Slow twitch fibers, when they're broken down in the gym, merely get more oxygen efficient. That's the fibers the endurance fibers. Okay? If you look at a marathon runners are not big. They run a lot. They work their legs probably more than bodybuilders do, but they have small legs. Why? Because they're exercising their slow twitch muscle fibers, which makes the fibers become more oxygen efficient. However, they're not getting bigger. Okay? So when you go to the gym, what fibers do you think you want to stimulate? Do you want to stimulate both fiber types, or do you want to stimulate the fast twitch fiber types that get bigger? Sounds like a good reasonable, explanation. Go after the big ones, right? The fast twitch ones. If you go after the slow twitch fibers and you do tons and tons and tons and tons of reps with lighter weight, you might, get a little bit more, density in the muscle, but it's not going to get bigger. So, if you're trying to maximize size in the gym, go into the gym, train heavy with good form, and that's going to give you the best bang for your buck, okay? You want to stimulate fast twitch fibers, not the slow ones. Do higher rep sets have a place? Sure. You know what? They teach the muscle endurance. They teach the muscle, to train, have more stamina in the gym, which is going to enable you to train harder. Because a lot of times people fail in the gym because they just can't train as hard because their cardiovascular system or their muscles are just not up to the task. So, probably Ronnie Coleman was the only bodybuilder I had ever seen who can do super heavyweight and super high reps at the same time and gain benefits out of it. So unless you're Ronnie Coleman, I suggest you go into the gym with a targeted approach, try to get in and out of the gym in 60 to 90 minutes the most, and make the best of those workouts. Don't worry about getting tons and tons of sets and repetitions in. Focus on a specific number of sets that works for your body type. For me, it was always never go more than 12 or 13 sets. When I went over that number, that's when I felt like I didn't recover properly. But in those 12 sets, I would give my all to those 12 sets, and I got the best bang for my buck when I went to the gym because of that.
We'll take one more question. This is going to be from our Facebook page, and we go to Jose Flores. Dave, I hate this show so much. I'd rather read a Dorian Yates article on MD about how the Holocaust never happened. That seems to be a popular I hate. Okay. Oh, wow. That's just mean. I'm not going to read that one. But why cut back? He says he does include that. Do natural bodybuilders have to cut back on their training in the gym, sets, reps, and exercise to be able to recover and train different than an enhanced bodybuilder, or can we do the same workouts that are in these magazines?
Well, the magazines portray certain workouts that these bodybuilders probably never have even done. I know guys that have told me, I never did that workout before. Joe Weedy used to put these crazy workouts in just because he wanted to display certain pictures and images, so he would make up the workout to fit the images that he had. So, I wouldn't necessarily follow the workouts that are in the magazines, but if a particular bodybuilder gives you a workout to do, I think that's a viable option in terms of making progress and gains. The problem is when you follow someone else's workout, you might not get the same results as them. I remember once this bodybuilder had come to me and said, I asked Flex Wheeler how he got those great arms, what he does to train them. And I said, why would you listen to Flex Wheeler's arm training secrets? He has just genetically gifted arms. That's not going to help you in the gym. You got to find out what works for yourself. Okay. For me, it was always less volume, higher intensity. When I trained certain muscle groups, I found that doing concentrated movements one at a time, unilateral movements, work well for me. So there's not one formula that works for everyone as much as we would like to think that there is. Likewise, as a natural bodybuilder, okay, while you may not recover as quickly as a regular bodybuilder, I think that the workouts are the same. What I always explain to guys that take steroids is I say you can recover faster and better and put more muscle on with steroids. Doesn't mean you should train more. It doesn't mean you should train less. Same thing with the natural lifter. Don't train and say, hey, I'm natural. I can't do as much. Do what works for your body, the volume amount that's ideal for you. And what you'll find is that at some point down the line, if you decide to use anabolic steroids, don't increase the volume. Stick with the same volume because that's what your body dictates, and you'll just find that you get better results from that.
That's going to do it for this episode of Ask Dave. We will give out the awards real quick. The best I hate we're going to give to Mr. C. Shadows, who had this show sucks so much I'd rather be a contracted athlete with muscular development. Oh, wait, there are no more athletes. Why cut back? So, Mr. C. Shadows, we will be in touch with you. And the best overall question, we'll go with Matt Fritzler, 95, and that question was about the 212 division and the future of that division with physique and men's bodybuilding and just the over-competitive 212 division. So Matt Fritzler and Mr. C. Shadows, congratulations. We will be in touch with you. Reminder, tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Iron Debate returns right here on RxMuscle.com. Special guest, Dennis the Menace James. He's going to be joining us live from Arizona. Dennis James, Chris Aceto, Dave Palumbo. You're not going to want to miss a 6 p.m. Iron Debate right here on RxMuscle.com. Special thanks to our producer, Johnny Styles. We will see you in an hour and a half.